I just got back from Newberry Comics. Oh wait, I need to do my obligatory. I just got back from Newberry Comics and I realized that I've been putting off a book haul for a while. I've bought a lot of books so far this year. I know that a goal of mine was to buy less than, I think, 50 books, which is a lot of books, a lot of physical books. So I'm just gonna go through all the ones that I remember, and I think this is excluding some single issue graphic novels as well as some manga that I've already read, and these are all ones that I have not read yet, because I think there's a few that I've read and already unhauled even though I bought them this year. That is a whole other story. I've been very good about reading and unhauling like immediately. How small is your penis? So let's dive into what I got today, because I want to get them out of this damn bag. I had originally gone to Barnes & Noble for their buy one get one 50% off manga sale, which is starting today, if that helps date this video at all. And they didn't have anything I wanted. So I went to Newberry Comics because they always have good things, and they put out new releases super early. So I got Dinosaur Sanctuary Volume 2, which technically comes out I think on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. But the first one I read sometime last year at the end of the year. This is a series about a girl who, I think it's her dream to kind of go work at this dinosaur sanctuary. It's more or less like an animal sanctuary, except they're dealing with dinosaurs. And there's just so much like education put into this. It reminds me a lot of the like Penguin Gentleman book that I read that I didn't like. But this one does a lot of interesting things with telling you about dinosaurs, which I am actually interested in, versus the penguins, which I was not interested in. And I don't know how long the series is going to go, but I really hope that other people are reading it because I want more volumes. They had quite a lot of books on clearance, and because I had it in my brain already that I was going to spend money, I bought 3 graphic novels there. First one is Sunlight. This one sounds like it's going to be a lot like The Descent or The Cave. Like it's a cave spelunking horror book. Says, at the bottom of a chasm, no one can hear you scream. 3 young friends who are passionate about caving decide to explore the ruins of an abandoned mine. They discover, bathed in the light of dawn, a surreal setting to explore. As soon as they enter, they take a dizzying fall through a poorly sealed well. Now trapped at the bottom of an abyss where not a ray of light reaches, they only have one thing to do: wait for help and survive. And it's all in black and white, so I have a feeling it's gonna be very eerie. And I saw this one probably like a month or 2 ago at Newberry, and it was still on clearance then, but I just was like, yeah, it says January 30th it got put to clearance. I just didn't, I was like, no, Angel, you don't need this. But now I'm just like, I needed some serotonin today, so I needed to spend some money. Also, quick trigger warning on the cover of this next book because it's rather graphic. So this is called Red Room by the Antisocial Network, and as you can tell by the cover, a little fucked up. I actually went to check this out, and the guy who's, I think he's like the manager of that location, was like, hey, like, you know what this is about, right? And I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, it's been on my TBR for a while, it seems fucked up. And he's like, okay, just want to make sure because like I didn't want you to be surprised because it's really graphic. And I was like, uh-oh. So it says it kind of sounds like snuff film meets YouTube, which so I get why it is very I'm happy that he like did like an in-person trigger warning almost. He said, in the darkest corners of the internet, Red Room murder is trending. Brutal eviscerations are live streamed to an ever-growing audience as cryptocurrency makes killing a serious business. Who are the victims? Who are the customers? Who are the killers? Red Room, the Antisocial Network, finds the answers. Yeah, so it's very, this is also like just black and white, and like it's very graphic. It's very graphic. The next thing is Chronophage, and I actually saw this one a little while ago because I think it was a 2022 release. It's about a very toxic relationship. It says, when Chloe begins a passionate relationship with a traveling businessman, her life immediately changes for the better, and not just because she's getting laid. Long lost friends return, and new opportunities suddenly present themselves out of nowhere. Soon, however, she begins experiencing horrific encounters with ghostly beings, eventually revealed to be the echoes of moments she has somehow no longer lived. Terrified at the realization that her past is being rewritten and that Heath is not who he seems to be, Chloe must find a way back to the seconds, minutes, and hours stolen by the alien Chronophage masquerading as her new lover. So some sort of time travel-y, toxic relationship, but also a little bit of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind because she is having things like erased from her memory. So that is what I bought today. I think I'll go down the line of like smallest to largest things that I purchased or was gifted. At least previously, and I'm going to go back to it, but I was a patron of Bethany over at Beautifully Bookish Bethany. I need to re-up that again. But I guess during the time that I signed up for that, she had some sort of giveaway where if you signed up during a certain period of time, I think it's over now, you got like a free arc or a free book that she had read or didn't want to read, something along those lines. And somehow I didn't fill out the survey for it, but I got a very good book. This is The Theighthouse by Johnny Compton. It's an arc of it. And this one, I believe, just came out. Like, I'm just so surprised. This one, yeah, this one just came out in February. And I believe this is, it says, Eric Ross is on the run from a mysterious past with his 2 daughters in tow when he comes across a strange ad for the Mason house in Texas. Sorry, I couldn't speak those words apparently. He thinks that they may finally have caught a lucky break. The most haunted place in Texas needs a caretaker. All they need to do is stay in the house and keep a detailed record of everything that happens there, provided the house's horrors don't drive them all mad like the caretaker before them. And I'll be honest, this cover would not have pulled me in, and so the fact that I now like almost forcibly have to own it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll probably read this and really soon because it sounds very interesting. It's it reminds me a lot of like The Conjuring and the like documentation of something horrific happening in a place, and I actually really like that. I've never thought about it that way before, kind of like Ghost Hunter vibes. I like that. I think that's gonna be really interesting. I recently went to Books A Million and I picked up some of their like bargain price books. I got The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. I haven't read anything by Beth O'Leary in a while because I was like really on a romance kick a while back, fell off, and now I'm back in it again. So it says 2 exes reach a new level of awkward when forced to take a road trip together in this endearing and humorous novel. Yeah, this is the author of The Flat Share, which is a book I read many years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I picked up Acceptance, which is the 3rd book in the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, and if you aren't familiar with this, you'll be familiar with Annihilation. If you don't know anything about Annihilation, it's about a weird phenomenon where one day they just discover that there's a place in this like almost like a national park kind of protected area that it has like a barrier, and so they start to send people through the barrier, and different things start happening. I just really love these specific covers with the beautiful spines. I've been trying to collect them. And then I also picked up something that, oh, I love this cover. It's called The Apocalypse 7. The Whatever-ocalypse, that's what Torre, a 20-something Cambridge coder, calls it after waking up one morning to find himself seemingly the only person left in the city. Once he finds Robbie and Carol, 2 equally disoriented Harvard freshmen, he realizes he isn't alone, but the name sticks. Whatever-ocalypse. Whatever-pocalypse. But it doesn't explain where everyone went. It doesn't explain how the city became overgrown with vegetation in the space of a night, or how wild animals with no fear of humans came to roam the streets. Add freakish weather to the mix, swings of temperature that spawn tornadoes one minute, and snowstorms the next, and it seems things can't get much weirder. And then one other little small haul I did from one of my other favorite bookstores, Bull Moose. I got, I think these are actually two different times I went. I got Sorry Bro. This is by Talee Voskuni, and this is a queer Armenian-American romance. When Nara's boyfriend, who is non-Armenian, gets down on one knee and proposes in front of her in a whole room of drunk San Francisco tech boys, she realizes it's time to find someone who shares her idea of romance. Enter her mother, armed with plenty of mom guilt, a spreadsheet of Facebook-stalked Armenian men. She convinces Nar to attend Explore Armenia, a month-long series of events in the city. But it's not the mom-approved playboy doctor or the wealthy engineer who catches Nar's eye. It's Arabuni, a woman who is as immersed in the witchy arts as she is persevering Armenian identity. Suddenly, with Arabuni as her wingwoman, the events feel far less of a chore and much more like an adventure. Who knew cooking up koftis together could be so sexy? And so I think like she ends up starting to fall in love with her, and I'm down. And then I got something that is more along the lines of something I would have gotten like 10 years ago. This is Machinehood by SB Divya. Yeah, Divya. This is one of those like AI rebels kinds of books. Welga, executive bodyguard in ex-special forces, is about to retire early when her client is killed in front of her. It's 2095 and people don't usually die from violence. Humanity is entirely dependent on pills that not only keep them staying alive, but allow them to compete with the artificial intelligence in an increasingly imbalanced gig economy. And so, yeah. I have nothing else to say. So the next one is Sister Maiden Monster by Lucy A. Snyder. A very, very, very queer apocalyptic book. Sounds a little funny too. I think there might be some humor stuff in here. Says a visceral story set in the aftermath of our planet's disastrous transformation about what it takes to survive an apocalypse and what we become after. As a virus tears across the globe, dark forces pull a group of women together. Erin, once quiet and closeted, requires an appetite for a woman and her brain. Why does forbidden fruit taste so good? Savannah, a professional BDSM switch, discovers a new turn-on, committing brutal murders for her eldritch masters. And Mareva, plagued with chronic tumors, is too horrified to acknowledge her divine role in the coming apocalypse, and as her growths multiply, so too does her desperation. This already sounds like it's got a lot of queer rep in it, and I'm greatly excited. I'm very excited because this one was a total surprise. I don't think I had heard about it until I saw it on the table at this bookstore. And then the last big stack of books I got from a few different sellers on Pango Books. If you don't know what Pango is, it is a place where you can kind of have like a marketplace of used books that you want to sell. You can kind of create whatever price you want. In no particular order, I got Monarch by Candice Wuehle. After waking up with a strange taste in her mouth and mysterious bruises, former child pageant star Jessica unwittingly begins investigating a nefarious deep state underworld. Equipped with the eccentric education of her father, Dr. Clink, a professor of boredom studies, Jessica uncovers a disquieting connection between her former life as a beauty queen and an offshoot project known as Monarch. As Jessica moves closer to the truth, she begins to suspect the involvement of everyone around her, including her own mother, a Norwegian pageant queen turned occult American wellness guru. And so it's very like undercover investigation spy kind of thing, but also beauty pageant stuff. And I love throwing beauty pageant things into other worlds. It's just so funny to me, but also like makes sense. I got Saint X also. This is by Alexis Schaitkin, and I've put this on my TBR and taken it off a few times because I couldn't quite tell if it was something that I would truly be interested in. Says Claire is only 7 years old when her college-age sister Allison disappears on the last night of their family vacation at a resort on the Caribbean island of Saint X. Several days later, Allison's body is found, and 2 local men, employees at the resort, are arrested. But the evidence is slim, the timeline against it, and the men are soon released. The story turns into national tabloid news, a lurid mystery that will go unsolved. Years later, a brief but fateful encounter brings Claire together with one of the men originally suspected of murdering her sister. It is a moment that sets Claire on an obsessive pursuit for the truth. I got a little romance just to throw in the mix. Not Your Average Hot Guy by Gwenda Bond. I believe this is literally like a demon romance book. Next is one that I have truly been waiting so long to find somewhere aside from just Amazon, and somebody was selling it. So it's called They Threw Us Away by Daniel Kraus. And it's really funny because I added a different book by this author recently and I still haven't read this. Bear talks about this book all the time, and I recently asked them for a recommendation of a book that they recommend all the time but nobody seems to read, and it was this one, and I was like, fuck. I have also received this recommendation from them several times and not read it. So it says, when Buddy wakes up in the middle of a garbage dump, he is filled with a certain awareness. He's a teddy bear. He spent time at a store waiting for his future to begin, and he is meant for the arms of a loving child. Something has gone terribly wrong. Soon he finds other discarded teddies. Though they aren't sure how their luck soured, they all agree that they need to go back to the store if they're ever to fulfill their destinies. So they embark on a perilous trek across the dump and into the outer world. With ravenous rats, screeching gulls, and a menacing city in front of them, the teddies will need to overcome insurmountable challenges to find their way home. It says, filled with heartbreak and hope, it is the action-packed beginning of a new trilogy by Daniel Kraus. Ugh, this is gonna fuck me up, huh? I have Dare to Know by James Kennedy. It says, what if you learn the exact moment of your death and it already happened? Our narrator is the most talented salesperson at Dare to Know, an enigmatic company that has developed the technology to predict anyone's death down to the second. Their one rule, salespeople can never look up their own death dates. Our narrator has never been tempted before, but after a string of failures, a single crisis pushes him over the edge. The problem, his prediction says he died 23 minutes ago. Oh, speaking of Daniel Kraus, he actually blurbed it on the back of this. So, Daniel Kraus wrote The Shape of Water? This other one is called The Temps by Andrew Deyoung, and I saw this on a table at Barnes & Noble probably like 5 months ago, I think, and I couldn't stop thinking about the cover, and then I read the blurb and I was in love. It says they're underemployed, underpaid, and trying to survive the end of the world while trapped inside an office complex. Who knew temp work could be so dangerous? Jacob doesn't want a temporary job in the mailroom at Delphi Enterprises, but after 2 post-college years of unpaid internships and living in his parents' basement, he needs work. Then, on his first day, the unthinkable happens. Toxic gas descends on a meeting in Delphi's outdoor amphitheater, killing all the regular employees and leaving Jacob stranded inside the vast office complex. Wandering through headquarters, Jacob finds other survivors. Stranded in the wreckage of the company that employed them, the Temps band together to create a miniature world that's part spring break, part office culture, until a shocking discovery disrupts the survivors' self-made paradise and drives them to uncover the truth about the mysterious corporation that employed them and the apocalypse that brought their world to an end. My God, that it just sounds perfect. Last one here is going to be a bit more of a well-known book, The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz, another new release that I'm just like, what the heck is happening? I own a new release. Who am I? This is covering two of my sort of favorite things that I never read. One of them is isolation type horror or thrillers, and especially in like a snowy cabin type area. I will put on the screen a few books that I'm talking about. And then also the concept of like writers doing things or authors out in a book. And I'm just like so into that. It says, at one exclusive writer's retreat, it's publish and perish. Alex has all but given up on her dreams of becoming a published author when she receives a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Attend an exclusive month-long writing retreat at the estate of feminist horror writer Rosa Vallo. Even the knowledge that Ren, her former best friend and current rival, is attending doesn't dampen her excitement. But when the attendees arrive, Rosa drops a bombshell. They must all complete an entire novel from scratch during the next month, and the author of the best one will receive a life-changing 7-figure publishing deal. Determined to win this seemingly impossible contest, Alex buckles down and tries to ignore the strange happenings at the estate, including Rose's erratic behavior, Ren's cruel mind games, and the alleged haunting of the mansion itself. But when one of the writers vanishes during a snowstorm, she realizes that something very sinister is afoot. Those are all the books that I have purchased recently. I think that it's kind of making me realize, like, I don't want to be afraid to buy books. Like, I'm probably gonna completely wreck that goal of only buying 50 books, because as I go through my old books that are on my old TBR, which I am prioritizing, I'm wanting to replace them. Like, it's not that I want less books, I just want less books that are from my old TBR. I'll talk about that at another time, like kind of comparing what I still own for my old TBR and what is new, but I think that I'm doing a better job than I have in previous years. Thank you for hanging out with me and talking about some new books with me. Hopefully you have heard of some of these, or if not, I'm glad to have kind of presented them to you. Hopefully you will also be reading them soon. Leave me some sort of cute emoji down in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye.